Hey, what's up? I have an energy update for you. Energy update 2024. I think you've probably been feeling the shift, and it's a real shift. I know there's a lot of people talking about a shift, but then you're like, what? And every time somebody says, "Oh, are you experiencing a big shift?" I feel like that's something really personal that we shouldn't be talking about, especially in the ladies, right? But there's actually a dynamic energy at place right now. And I think if you've clicked on this video, you already instinctually know. I'm going to talk about a few things that you might be experiencing. And I have some good news for you for 2024 because if you've been on the planet the past few years, you definitely felt the energy and maybe not in such a good way, right? So I have good news for you. And also, we're going to talk about how to navigate it a little bit so that 2024 can actually be a really good year instead of just some thing that you say and then actually roll your eyes at because inside you still feel turmoil or shadow or disdain, right? Happy New Year, by the way, or whenever you're watching this, because every new moment is new. No matter what you've been going through, 2024 is a huge opportunity. Now, that sounds totally cliche, right? Because honestly, every moment of your life is a new opportunity. Every new breath is an opportunity. But there is a real thing when it comes to energy. So, number one, and it's still up to each individual what you're going to do with it because you have free will. We're not robots. So even though we've been given this update, just like your phone or something, we're all going to operate differently under the new operating system. Just because all the technology is there doesn't mean you use it all, right? We each have this amazing, most everybody anyway, has an amazing computer in their pocket, your phone. And yet you use maybe, I don't know, 80%, and that's probably generous, of the functions of your phone. That's the same with the operating system within us, right? So, number one, in this energy update, you're actually going to be accessing more of yourself, more light. Number two, you're going to be noticing, and I'm going to explain what that means. It's not going to just be some airy fairy thing, I promise. But again, it's up to you, however you want to interpret it. Number two is you've been feeling the past few years this heavy energy, this divide, right? I've been on the phone with so many people over the past few days in particular, people who I haven't talked to in the past few years just because of the craziness of the world. And so many people, students, friends, are having the same experience, which is this heavy, light, and dark opposition. For the past few years, many of us have been feeling the extreme heaviness of it. Even if you were super optimistic during this whole time, the tail end of it has been feeling heavy because maybe you lost friends. Maybe somebody has passed on. Maybe your health isn't doing so well or as well as you'd like it to be, or maybe finances, right? The economy. There's so much going on that people are not talking about really because it's this cognitive dissonance. So, number two is that you're coming into this realization that it isn't Democrats versus Republicans. It isn't the Palestine versus Israel or any other conflict. At the root of everything is light versus dark, light versus dark. That's it. If you want to think of it as good and evil, if that resonates with you, that's it. That's really what this boils down to. Because there are good people everywhere. Argue with me that there are not. Even in some of the most hate-filled groups, you will probably find somebody who is a good person. In every corner of the world, you're going to find somebody that is a good person. So the darkness wants us to believe that we are to do the darkness's bidding, which is all turn against each other, which is this idea that we can't have different beliefs. Now, of course, this has been going on since forever, right? You look, even if you're not religious, if you look in the Bible, if you read any of Shakespeare's plays, if you read any Greek mythology, these conflicts have been going on forever. It's a part of the human condition because we have to have some sort of system, right? And not everybody is going to agree on the exact same set of rules, unfortunately, right? I wish we could just say, absolutely, let's all play nice. That would be wonderful. But number two is you're really beginning to feel this light versus dark energy. So number one was you're feeling more light. And number three is how do you feel? This is like a math equation. Number three is how do you feel more light is this exact way. And this is real. This is actually, well, it's scientifically backed up, but without getting into all the scientific data, you feel it, right? You're feeling it. So how do you know you're feeling more light, or maybe the conflict of the light and dark? I'll share a personal story. The last few days, I have reconnected with some people who I haven't spoken to in a long time. 3 different people. 3 different people who we have very differing viewpoints on lots of stuff. But remember a time when you could be friends and have family that disagreed with you? Remember that? Because there was a return to love. Because love was at the center. Love was at the heart. So I was able to have these conversations with 3 different people on 3 different occasions, totally different circumstances. And neither one of us on any of the exchanges, any of the 3 exchanges, felt this heated charge of negativity. And yet we were disagreeing about hot topics that people have gotten divorced over, people have lost their jobs over, people have lost their lives over. And yet we were able to remember who we are. So number 3 is you're bringing in more light because you're remembering who you are. You're remembering, oh my gosh, this person, I love this person. I'm here on this planet for a short time. All of us are. So number 4 is looking at the light and darkness and looking at, if you're worried about any conflict anywhere in the world, look at the conflict within yourself, right? And it's brutal sometimes. It's brutal. We are so mean to ourselves because we're beginning to do the darkness's bidding. We're doing their bidding by fighting with each other and being divided amongst people that you love. If you can begin to hate people that you love, that you've maybe known forever over a conflict, how do you think that's going to stop a conflict in some other part of the world? You can't even stop the conflict within yourself and stop the conflict within your own friends and family. So the first step is to return to the love and light within so that you can remember who you are and actually have discussions with people who disagree with you. We're never going to get anywhere if we only talk to people who we agree with. So a big energy update in 2024 is that the middle people, remember us? There's a lot of middle people who agree with some of this and some of that, but they don't agree with, and then, abolish anybody that disagrees. Cancel them if they say anything out of turn. Cancel them if they have a question or concern or they want to debate something. The minute we give up debating and talking, we're in a dictatorship. So I know other people watch in different parts of the world. It's not just the United States, but I live in the United States. And this is supposed to be a free country where we are supposed to have a freedom to exchange ideas. That is how we evolve and grow. So number 5 is that there has been a depression epidemic because people aren't expressing themselves. Why are they not expressing themselves as a mass? Because people are terrified to, because they've lost their lives, their jobs, their friends. Over expressing themselves, over asking questions, over having a simple discussion at times. So number 5 is this yearning to actually express and connect in a way that is heart-centered, so that when you are speaking with people of a differing viewpoint, that you don't bring the conflict and war to the conversation within yourself or within the conversation, because we're never going to get anywhere with that attitude, ever. Did I just get much closer to the camera? There's my phone falling. Both, probably, right? You're going to feel a yearning to return to love, and that's what's happening. Because 3 times over the past week, I have been able to talk to 3 different people who, a couple years ago, that would have been a big charge. Not necessarily with those people I talked to, but maybe. Some people were surprising, right? You're feeling an energy update if you've been surprised by people. But you're returning to love, to remember who you really are. Number 6 is you're coming into discernment. So you might go, well, Leah, I believe this is right and they are wrong. Well, again, that's where you get to address that war within you. Now, your beliefs might have a lot of validity because they affect you and your life and everything, right? And you have a right to that. But whenever you justify hate in the name of that, then you're doing the darkness's bidding. So number 6 is to come into discernment. How do I know? How do I know that this isn't just a conflict within and without, and where am I in alignment? How do I know that I'm in the light or the dark, right? Again, it's going to be an energy. You're not going to feel that charge. When you're talking with somebody, you're going to feel love present. You're going to make a choice to return to love. Instead of being right, you want to be loving. That doesn't mean roll over and accept mistreatment, right? So number 6 is a big discernment, because this isn't even narcissists versus empaths. This is light and darkness. This is evil and good versus evil. So a lot of us, a lot of you, and myself included, as a collective, have been in reactive abuse. Do you know what that is? That's when a narcissist does so many tactics on you: gaslighting, trauma bonding, love bombing, devaluing, discarding, hoovering, right? That's what we're all under right now, right? That is how a cult works, and that is how the masses are working right now. That's why so many people are talking about narcissism, but it's not really narcissism versus empaths. Again, it's light versus dark. So how do we have the discernment to know? Because we've all been, in many ways, not all of us, many of you have been in reactive abuse. Think of where you might be acting out of reactive abuse. That's when the narcissist does so many things to you and you take it until finally you explode. And then you're acting just as bad as them. You're acting just as bad as the bully. And then they won. And that's what many of us have been up to the past few years, unintentionally. Where are you judging someone instead of having discernment? Where are you justifying hate in the name of love? That is where you are having reactive abuse and acting outside of character. You can be assertive and not reactive in that way. React in a way that returns to love. Now, it's a choice. Not everyone's going to make it. Not everyone's going to make that choice. Some people are going to get embedded in the darkness, and it's coming on big because there's a shift happening. So number 7, this conflict's going to even come to a head even more because this shift is happening, because the lightness is coming in. So the discernment to know. How do we know? Because we're going to feel it all intensely and more, but we're going to feel the love even more if you have the discernment and free will and make that choice. A lot of people, maybe you, have been also interested in spiritual teachings. Maybe you always have been. Maybe you never have been and suddenly you're drawn to it. That's another sign of this energy update. I know I read the Bible when I was really little. I don't know it very well. I've studied a lot of different religions. I've done a lot of different practices. And for me, they all lead back to love. And where I don't like many of the religions and faith paths is when that one group says, yes, but we're right and everybody's wrong. I can't buy into that. Where are you trying to be right instead of loving? And maybe you don't even believe in God, but that's another conversation. But there is something, right? There's an energy at play. You can agree with that. And energy is real. You can feel it when somebody has bad vibes and they walk into the room. You know that. If they come in slamming the door, you feel that. It's real. That's not woo-woo, airy-fairy stuff. That's real. If someone walks into the room with real care and concern and empathy, you feel that. Sometimes you can cry just when somebody smiles at you. So your impact makes a difference. So number 8 is really answering the call to make a difference by returning to love. If you feel all these other things, you have a spiritual calling, whatever you want to call it. See, we get in trouble even with all these names. The minute we label something, it loses all meaning, and then everyone fights over it. No, I call it that. No, I call it that. No, God is the universe. No, the universe is God. No, if you say universe, you're a witch. If you say God, you're terrible. Look, we're arguing. Where is the love? So there's a real call to return to love. So I don't know the Bible very well, but I'm going to share this story on discernment because I was praying and I have always had a personal relationship with God. I was praying and I was meditating on this very thing. How do I discern what is right? What do I do? What is good? Show me the way. And then this voice came to me, read the Bible, which I haven't read since I was like a kid. It's a huge book. It's very overwhelming, but I'm very interested and I'm open. So I open it up. And the first thing there is a story about King Solomon. And there were 2 prostitutes. They both gave birth to 2 babies in a house. This story might help you in discernment, whether you believe in biblical stories or not. So 2 babies were born in this house. And the only people in there were the 2 mothers, the 2 prostitutes, right? So they didn't have the fathers. They had only the mothers. One mom fell asleep and killed her baby because on accident was laying on it. So the story goes, right? Well, before she woke up, she traded babies so that the other woman, the other mother, would wake up with the dead baby. So then when they both woke up, they were pointing the finger at the other one. They're like, no, the other one, that's my baby. The alive baby's my baby. And who's telling the truth? So they took it to King Solomon to be the judge. And he said, well, I have an idea. How about cut the baby in half? I feel like that's where a lot of the world is right now. That's the solution of a lot of people. Nobody wins with a solution like that, right? So why did he do that? To have discernment, because he had prayed for discernment, and this is what he was given as a gift, discernment. So he didn't know who was telling the truth, so he said, cut the baby in half. The one woman who was not the mother said, no, or actually said, yes, do that, so neither one of us can have the baby. The mother, who was actually the mother, said, no, let the baby live. He knew that was the real mother, because why? She had returned to love. Because even if she couldn't have him, she still wanted him to live. So we're being called to let go of our attachments to how things should go. That doesn't mean let go of your beliefs. It means to return to love. That's the energy shift happening right now. What do you want? There is going to be a coming together, less of a divide. But the divide will be more clear that it's not Democrat and Republican. It is light and dark, good and evil. We must address the shadow within ourselves. A lot of people on here are still very sad about narcissists. I get it. I understand. I have some people comment, no, Lee, you don't understand. I'm broken. I'm devastated. In this energy update, this is a time for tremendous healing. If you come into the love, you can heal. I got a message recently. Somebody said, no, they're marrying the new person and I'm crushed. Send them love. Great. I know that's hard. Feel that war within you. Feel love within you. Return to love until you can soothe that war within that says, that's not right. Why isn't it right? Well, because she's a good person or he's a good person and now they're going to be with a narcissist. That's their path. You hating on them and hating on yourself is turning to the dark. So this is an exciting time right now. This is a really exciting time. Send anybody you disagree with love. Any narcissist who's discarded you love. That doesn't mean accept it. It means that you have such hyper emotional intelligence now that you have great discernment. Let people show you their true colors and keep returning to the light and the love. And 2024 is going to be amazing. Now, for the really good news. When you practice radical discernment, when you practice radical self-love and acceptance for what is, that doesn't mean you condone it. That means that you will not do the darkness's bidding, that you refuse to give in to the darkness. And by doing this work and going into the light, looking at the shadow within yourself, loving on everybody, especially when you feel a charge. When you feel a charge and you're like, the narcissist is marrying somebody. Good, love them. They're happy. They're either with another narcissist or they're with somebody who's going to have their own souls unfolding. We each have our own path. The most healing thing you can do is return to love and light. So if you've been experiencing a health concern, if you've been experiencing financial lack, poverty, anything like that, a challenge in your life, loss of loved ones, what 2024 is going to bring you energetically is everything you've been desiring if you're open to it. If you promise to yourself to stay in love. Doesn't mean you're not going to feel pain. You feel it and you allow it to move through in love, with love, without getting attached and trying to control. When you're trying to control, that is darkness. When you feel that tension within you, that is darkness. I promise you, the more you turn to light and love, the more serendipitous things are going to happen. You're going to think of somebody they're going to call. A job opportunity is going to fall in your lap, but it's not really falling in your lap. You've been planting the seeds. So continue on the path. Keep expressing yourself. Stay open to how new opportunities, people, places, and things are going to show up in your life. If you're looking for a relationship, if you're longing for that, it's going to happen. Build this love within yourself first. I promise you, 2024 is really exciting. We've been through the mud, and now, like a lotus flower, we're going to emerge. We are. You are. I'm sending you so much love. Please like and comment and subscribe if you haven't. Let me know, because this is an energy. And the more that you invest in positive energy, you put it out in the world. It doesn't just help me. It doesn't just help you. It helps all of us. That is how we can contribute more peace on the planet. Oh, and if you are in Denver, Colorado, and if you're an actor, this might feel really random to you, but I'm also an acting teacher. I have an in-person class coming up. The other thing is, it's important to get in person with people. A lot of people have been isolated. It's great to be online. I love the online space. But when you can, get in person with people, meet up with people, take a class. If you're an actor, you're in Denver, I have an in-person scene study class coming up. That is going to be a great way to express. If you're not an actor, you could do a monologue in there. You could just express what's been going on for you. It's not really designed for like a super beginner actor, but I could work with you if you've had some sort of experience on stage or on camera. So I'll leave a link in the comments. If that's not for you, don't worry about it. But I invite you to express yourself, to answer the call now. This is time. 2024 is the time of the biggest shift. This still sounds weird to me.